Welcome to Meta Watch. This is episode 2, the best damn stat show here on Terra. Today we have 3 very special guests, very people close to my heart and also close to everyone else's heart. They're all great content creators and they are amazing people in general. Today we're going to go over all of this, the data and the stats that Games Workshop isn't really collecting, but we are. And we're here to share it with you, all the win rates and all that kind of stuff, and hopefully looking forward to seeing what Games Workshop does next time. We do have a new statistic. It's called the meta shift. That is taking from the last data slate and where that faction has gone up or down throughout the data slate. There's also 2 brand new factions that we've added in, as it's the Nightmare teams, Mandrakes, and the Nemesis Claw. So our guests today are Ben, which is this side, Ben from Killl Team Casuals. We have Shane from Command Point, and we have Janis, the Plasma Spam special one and only. So how's it going, everyone?
Doing great, man.
Doing good.
Very, very good. Very good.
Awesome. That's fantastic news. Now, this is something very close to us. David makes all of these stats. He's somebody who's local here in SoCal, and we go through and we make sure every stat is correct. We go through and we audit different metrics. And what we specifically are looking for is 4 rounds and 16 players or more. If your tournament has 4 rounds and has 16 players, your data is in this data slate. This is from 3/20 or something till 5/22. So it's been about 2 months since we did our last video. And it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Before we start everything off, what are you guys doing in the Killl Team community right now? Do you guys want to talk about it?
Ben, you first.
Oh no, under the bus again. Oh man, I was doing podcasts with my buddies, Reese and Russ, Killl Team Casuals, and I've got a YouTube channel, Battle Brothers Tabletop, that's been dormant for like 12 months.
I know.
One whole human year, some might say.
Makes me sad.
But I've got a video coming out this week on my new favorite drug, Nemesis Claw, Vox Scream. I'm riding high on the Claw right now. I'm super pumped. So that's what I'm doing. Shane, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm churning out content for Command Point. We've got a new video coming out soon. I am kind of between tourney grind right now because I'm the post Adepticon, and then I'm about to be in the ACO Atlantic City tournament grind. But I've actually been spending that time playing none other than Farstalker Kidband, which is just a fun way to
hurt yourself.
Fun way to torture one.
Just wait, Shane. You're gonna be so excited.
Oh, am I? So I mean, I think they're awful, but I think that they're closer to being good than I think a lot of people give them credit for. And I'm having a lot of fun playing them, actually.
That's fair. That's fair. How about you, Janis?
Well, not working on anything for YouTube content since I've not got my channel up and running yet. So there is that. I've been kind of lazy. But I am also doing the tournament grind, getting ready to do some traveling this summer to hit some tournaments, and anxiously waiting for the next box set to drop because I need me some new dwarfs.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a brood daddy in your life.
Well, that too. I mean, but the dwarves have a special place for me right now.
Awesome. I do want to shout out one more thing. It is very exciting. The All Valley Team Tournament, which is on September 21st and 22nd here in LA, which Squad Games is hosting, has 3 golden tickets for Killl Team this year. So it's a 1v1v1 tournament. The first person with 2 wins, the first team with 2 wins ends up winning the round. And Games Workshop was gracious enough to give us 3 golden tickets. That's right. It's a California Gold Rush. So if you guys are wanting to get a golden ticket or wanting to come to a great team event, go ahead and get a flight, catch it out here, and come play some games. It's going to be awesome. I think we have enough space for about 100 people. So, we're going to start selling tickets real quick, real soon. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, we were just talking about it on the Killl Team Casuals podcast, and we all thought, man, it was very generous of your offer to fly all three of us out, with Reese being in Australia and Russ being somewhere in London. We thought it was incredibly generous, so thank you so much.
He promised to fly me out too. He's flying you guys out as well?
Us too, yeah. How much you getting paid?
See,
you guys are getting paid?
See, I won the lottery recently. And that was the 3 golden tickets. Not money lottery though. So, yeah, looking forward to the All Valley. It's one of the biggest third-party events outside of FLG. We run tournaments for FLG like the Las Vegas Open and SoCal Open, which Las Vegas Open has the second year in a row that it's broke the record for the largest Killl Team tournament on planet Earth. So hopefully, we can start doing that with actual third-party events outside of Games Workshop and outside of Frontline Gaming. So that's with like Kill Scream up north, New York Open, the All Valley Team Tournament, Magnolia Open. So looking to, hopefully make much bigger events, but that's besides the point. Before we get into everything, I have a question. Before each slide, we're going to go over a question. The first question is very important because you guys are going to have to track your own points. Whoever gets the most points is going to win this episode and be the Meta Watch leader until we do another episode. Okay. And you guys will have the most clout on the internet, right? Since it's the best damn stat show ever. So the first question is, what is the most played faction for this data slate? If I had Jeopardy music, I'd play it, but I think we'd get demonetized pretty quick.
Are you making somebody go first?
You guys can guess as much as you want.
I already went first, so pass. Vox Scream, pass. You go, Shane.
Oh, man. I mean, it's definitely not Higher-Tech Circle or Nemesis Claw or Phobos. And I think my guess is going to be Legionary.
Legionary. Got it. How about you, Janis?
I'm going to say Commandos.
Commandos. All right. How about you, Ben?
Commandos is what I'm leaning towards. My hatred of Commandos is never ends, so I'm going to lock in Commandos.
Okay, you are all wrong. Sorry.
Womp womp.
The answer is Higher-Tech Circle. Hey! The most played faction. Yeah, Shane, what the fuck?
Look what you did.
Yeah, look what you did. All right, so we're going to get into the very first slide, which make sure this is the first one. It is. Good. So the very first slide, as we can see, shows the win rates of every team. Currently at the top of the list, we have Gellerpox Infected with 55.71% win rate. They have shifted upwards 5 ranks. And the amount of games that they've played is only 144. If we come down to Higher-Tech Circle, we can see that they have 279 total games.
Damn.
I think with Intercession, Commandos, and Legionary falling right behind them. So it's pretty exciting. Oh, why is that still up? Oh, I have to go back to the Discord now. Let's go here. Sorry, guys. Everyone have to go back. I have to disable this one. There we go. Live show problems, right? Cool. So this is a really cool time to be in Killl Team, I think. There's only 2 teams that are in that 55% win rate category that should be quote unquote nerfed, right? So we have Hand of the Archon, Blooded, Warp Coven, Mandrakes following up closely, but there's over 20 or almost nearly 18 teams that are below a 50% win rate. There is, in fact, 9 teams below the 45% win rate, which technically needs a buff. In my opinion, for the next data slate, I don't know if we need any more buffs, everyone. I think we just need a slew of nerfs, a slew of buffs, no more nerfs. What do you think?
Well,
I gotta ask about one of the numbers that I saw
Sure.
on there. Chaos Cults only had 18 games.
Correct. In fact, for most of these things, we're going to ignore where Chaos Cults are because there's such little data on the team. It's practically they're practically null and void.
I really find that number hard to believe.
It's pretty rough.
I mean,
it's
I
pretty
see
rough.
it there, so I believe it. But
Void dancers are also.
how they have fallen.
I know.
Oh, surprise, Void Dancers 56.
Yeah, Void dancers really fell off a cliff, games played wise, which we have that stat a little later. In fact, I think the reason why I have games played in here is that, in my opinion, I think the popularity of a team is really, really important for not only measuring a statistic wise of whether a team is performing well. Let's say a team is really, really performing really, really well, but there's only like 2 people on the planet playing it. Well, who gives a fuck, right? If a team is performing insanely and they have the most amount of games, higher tech circle, they are a problem, right? Innately, that team is a problem. Now, we don't see that here with higher tech. They have a almost dead perfect 50% win rate.
Perfectly balanced.
Perfectly balanced, right? Right, Shane?
hey, yeah. Hey, so I think it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they're worse than they were before the last data slate.
Really?
I think they were better before. I mean, I think they're still great, but I think that Nanomine was just so outrageously broken. I would take it over 3 APL Apprentice and 2-up reanimation.
Really? I will say that last data slate, Felgor and the Felgor and Hyrotech were winning a lot of these tournaments later in the data slate because they just didn't die. And then at Dallas, we had 2 Pathfinder players and we had 2 Hyrotech players in the semis. So I don't know. I think the 2-up reanimation's fucking stupid. There's a guy.
There's a lot of good players running them too.
Yeah, there is.
After Adepticon.
There's a guy who's like, oh yeah, I just walk forward and it usually works because they just don't die and you roll a 1 or you roll a 2-up and they come back to life. So, but there's a couple shout outs here. When you see this meta shift statistic, can you guys see my mouse here?
Yeah.
When you see a lot of these, when we see a shift between 0 and 2, that usually means that they're going to be about the same from last data slate. They still have about the same amount of power because we've added 2 teams, right? So it's almost negligent of where the team has gone up or down. But when you see these large numbers like plus 13, where did that come from, right? Hand of the Archon jumping up 13 places out of 30 teams is...
Yeah, it's that famous Hand of the Archon buff.
It's pretty big. And then we go to Warp Coven, which obviously they got a massive buff and they've jumped up 12%, but Hand of the Archon didn't do anything. The one thing that did happen was Hand of the Archon's natural predator was commandos. Commandos loved them, wanted to eat through them, right? So that's pretty interesting. And then you look at these other teams. Felgor Ravagers fell 16 drops placings from first place to 17th in the that might be because Orion and Jimmy Kelly stopped playing them, or maybe it's their nerfs. What do you guys think?
I have some thoughts too on Hand of the Archon. I think that they also hated playing against Vetguard, who I think are less common. At least I hated playing against Vetguard of Hand of the Archon.
Vetguard got a buff. They went up 2 places.
And honestly, it's like I think that Hand of the Archon in general is just going to be one of those teams that is like repping a good win rate forever, but never winning anything, kind of like Void Dancers were.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think they're really good in mid and low tables. But I don't think that they're again. Once you start hitting top tables, I think good players know how to exploit their weaknesses, and they start hitting a wall, I guess.
Well,
I guess that's my thoughts on them.
We will see, depending on how many placings they have in the tournament, because we have all the statistics here for you. So we're gonna find out if Shane's natural intuition of this team is there. I could say the same about Vetguard. They feel very the same versus the majority of factions, and against the rest of the factions, they just feel innately worse. Yeah. So, yeah. Commandos dropped 12 percentage points. They're at a 45% win rate. We have Blades of Cain dropping 13 placings, and then Breachers, Legionaries, and Intercession bringing up the bottom. Intercession, surprise, surprise, is at the bottom and probably should receive the largest buff. What do you guys think about Intercession?
Somebody else want to go?
Man, they're just so easy to deal with. Like, they're just so incredibly easy. Like with virtually any team, maybe not Kroot. I mean, maybe you with Kroot, Shane, but like they're just so easy to deal with, and so there's no tricks.
I think we lost Janis.
We did lose Janis.
She'll come back. She'll come back. Go ahead.
like if you roll up against them in a tournament, like you're not sweating. Like maybe the person who's playing them is just incredible, but most incredible players are not playing like Intercession. They're a great beginner team as well to get started, but they're just easy to deal with. Like you really don't have to worry when you're playing against Intercession.
That's true.
What does hurt my heart is how low Legionary is, though. That's a shame.
Yeah, and they have 241 games. So this is like a really good showing. I find I would really like to see most teams hit 200 before we can get like a real presence of how strong the team is. I think teams like Farstalkers, Navy Breachers, Exaction, Void Dancers, like, are we really seeing the actual stat presence of that team, right? Are we seeing actually how strong those teams actually are with how few games there is? I don't think we are. And we're sitting at 4,400 games compared to the end of the last data slate, which was 7,400 games. So we're still about just over half of the amount of numbers that we had last data slate. So, we're still looking at statistics that are not full compared to what we were looking at last time. But this is a good representation, I think, of where teams are going. Another thing that's interesting here is Hunterclade. Hunterclade jumped up 18 placings. Do you guys think that all these teams that really got a little bit of a nerf are letting some other teams start to rise in the meta?
It kind of seems that way.
It does.
I feel like I can't think off the top of my head, other than Warp Coven, what teams got like big buffs last data slate. It just seems like there's been a lot of sort of like stealth buffs to teams that were just like fine before but struggled into the top tiers.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hunterclade kind of falls into that category. Like we said, Hand of the Archon. Where's Blooded, by the way?
Blooded's doing really well. It's at 4. They jumped.
Blooded is another one.
They're doing really, really well. We'll see them how they're performing later on, but yeah.
I think one of the big things that is boosting a lot of people's stats is the fact that Harlequins, Void Dancers are no longer mid-table predators that they were in the past.
I would agree. I'd agree. They are, in fact, they're being taken so little now. 56 games that they have just like 3 times the amount of games as Chaos Colts. It's pretty telling the popularity of the team. They were one of the most popular teams last data slate, and now they've dropped off the face of the earth. And I wonder if Games Workshop takes that into effect when they are kind of figuring out if what a team should be or where they kind of want it to be. I mean, Justian, I think that they prefer to forget that team even exists. But like Exaction Squad, Breachers, Crew, these teams all have under 100 games, and the Dataslate's been out for 2 months now. You know, competitive under 100 competitive games is a little concerning to me. A little concerning. But
yeah, Breachers being sub 100 is one that kind of confuses me as well, because they're still a really good, solid team. But it's just nobody's playing them now for some reason.
Yeah, I think that we'll see that they're really good in one area of the game. Later on, we'll see them like performing really well there. And I'm unsure of why they're performing so poorly. They do only have 88 games underneath them. So, you know, we'll kind of go from there, but we're going to move on to our next slide. And, it's the placing percentage slide. So what placing percentage means is how many times has a team, placed in the top compared to how many times they've showed up at a tournament. And you divide those two numbers and it kind of tells you like, okay, well, this team showed up, you know, at 15 tournaments and placed at every single tournament. So that means they would have a 100% placing, right? Even if a bunch showed up at that tournament, you know, it is what it is. So, but before we get to that, I do have a question. You all are sitting at 0 points. No one's the meta watch leader here.
Oh,
no one has the hand on the pulse of the Killl Team sphere so far. So which one of you are going to run away with that, huh? The question.
I still can't believe that last answer. I can't believe that Higher Attack has that many games.
I knew that would trip up a lot of people. What team has the highest placing percentage? Is it Wormblade, Commandos, Hyrotech, Mandrakes, Hunterclade, or Gellerpox? And yes, these are the top 6. So I'm not going to try to get you. These 6 teams are in the top percentage ratings.
Janis, you go first.
Ooh, there you go.
Janis, where is it?
I'm going to go with Hyrotech this time.
Okay, Hyrotech.
I'm locking in Gellerpox.
Going with Gellerpox.
Oh, man. It's not Commandos. There's no way. But then I said last time. I think Mandrakes, they have a small enough amount of players, and I think the people who are playing them, I'm noticing decent results. I'm going to say Mandrakes have a high percentage placing.
All right, so we have Mandrakes. We have, what was yours, Ben?
Gellerpox.
And then Janis?
Hyrotech.
Hyrotech. Here we go. The answer to question 2 is Mandrakes.
Ooh.
Shane has his thumb on the pulse of Killl Team statistics so far.
I contributed to that.
So we look here. We have Mandrakes with a 46.15% placing. This is as insane as Felgor last Dataslate. Felgor had a 48%. Commandos had a 52%, right? So Mandrakes are on that level. Now, we'll see how many games they've actually played a little later on. Or I think if we can go back one, I guess we can see how many games they actually have. They have a total of 155 games, which is still double.
More than I thought.
It's double Farstalkers, right? So like, they have showed up at 13 different tournaments and placed in six of them. And our placings are a little bit different than people might expect. It isn't just 1, 2, and 3. We do take the top 10%. So if a team is, if there is 40 people at a tournament, we take the top 4. If there's 130 people at a tournament, we take the top 13. But at a top 20 tournament, we will still take the top 3. So it's 3 or more, or 3 or 10%, whichever is greater. So going back to stats. Hyrotech is second. So Janis, you were close there. They jumped up 6 placings from where they were. They've showed up at 30 tournaments, which makes sense, right? They have the most tournaments out of everyone. And, they've placed 13 times. That's a lot. They have the most top placings out of any other faction. In 13 of the 30 tournaments they placed. That's crazy. So, yeah. Wormblade is third with a 35%. 17 showings, 6 totals. Commandos is actually fourth. So we saw them with a 44% win rate earlier, but they have 15 tournament showings and 5 of them they have placed in. So that, to me, is saying that overall, everyone who's been playing them is playing them worse, except for those top players. Those top players are still able to win tournaments or at least place in those tournaments. Next, we have Hunterclade. Hunterclade's pretty interesting because they have the second most amount of placings. And I don't see Hunterclade being played a lot in the U.S. Do you guys see Hunterclade being played a lot in the U.S.?
Not really.
So this is like a Spain,
No,
UK, Australia thing, maybe Russian thing too. I don't know. I don't know where these guys are being played, but they're definitely showing up. And then we have Chaos Cultists next. No, wait, this is the wrong one. Sorry. We have Gellerpox next. And something interesting with Gellerpox is I think that their numbers is being inflated just a tad. We have Can You Roll a Crit and we have Orion Wilfong really leading this team. We'll see that they don't have that many unique players playing Gellerpox. So I think out of the 22 tournament showings that they've showed up at and the 7 placings, most of these placings are from Orion and from John Reese. Can you roll a crit? So I don't know if this is I think this is just 2 people that are just kind of really maining a faction, doing really well with them, rather than maybe the faction being a problem innately. What do you guys think?
I don't know why nobody plays Gellerpox. Is it maybe it's because the box is sort of hard
because they're ugly models, okay?
I think they're cool. I like
that's a
Merfolk
bad
models.
take, Dakotah. That's a bad
I like
take.
the models,
Yeah.
but I think it's more of a people are trying to be cognizant of time and having a 20 model team that you got to worry about.
It's
Yeah,
true.
they're also I think there's a common thread that I've noticed in this game where unless it's completely busted, melee teams usually have lower play rates.
You're not wrong.
I can't think
You're
of
very right.
a melee team that
Mhm.
wasn't busted that had a lot of players. They always have a low player count.
You are 100% correct. They are the least played type of faction in general. I think balanced is the most, then shooty horde, and then melee. So, but yeah. Blooded is next up. Blooded jumped up 9 rankings.
I'd love to see that, man.
Not as much as Hunterclade jumping up 17. Maybe it's 2 people playing them across the ocean. I don't know. What Hunterclade's still super surprising. And then we have Star Striders. Star Striders have always been good, but they kind of struggled in the last Dataslate. And I'm wondering if the teams that they struggled into just aren't being taken. Phil Gore. Or why they've also jumped up. It's kind of crazy how far this team has jumped up.
I've seen a lot of popularity with them, even just locally, a bunch of folks getting into them. It's sort of funny just to see the ebb and flow of the fast fashion that is Killl Team, where people are hopping on things, sort of just going with the current, and it's cool to see where the current goes. Sometimes it makes sense. We're man, Mandrake's real good coming out, but other teams that have been out for a while, seeming without a big buff or anything, just doing really well. It's fun to see sort of the fast fashion of wargaming.
Absolutely. Then we have what's next here? We have Chaos Cults, which out of their 18 games, their four showings at a tournament they've placed once. I believe that was Alexa. So I can't really, which he's the best cultist player in the world. So, I mean, of course he placed. Then we have Felgor Ravagers, the Goats, Janis, coming out to play, but they did drop 8 rankings, which is quite a lot compared to what they typically have. And they've showed up to quite a few tournaments, placed in 5. I still think that means they're pretty good. We have Pathfinders also.
No, I think they're bad. I think Felgor is bad. I think it's a bad team now. That's what I think.
Are you serious? I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
I see a red arrow. That means this team is now bad. That's what I think.
Okay.
That's
I'd
the
beat
hot
him every
take.
time. If I played him in a tournament, I'd beat him every time. Not even an issue.
Well, what are you playing? Doesn't matter.
Nemesis Claw. It doesn't matter.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I play Justian, probably crush him every time. That's how bad Felgor is.
Oh man,
I love that.
I think Justian's probably pretty good in a Felgor, actually.
They probably are. I think they would be.
I think
to be honest.
most elite teams are okay into Felgor.
Justin's just gonna crush heads.
Hold up, actually, I have thoughts on Felgor.
Okay.
I think that Felgor is a skew team kind of, where I think they do have actual bad matchups, but the things they beat so bad. And I think it's like a combination of like other things. Like they got nerfed, and I think some top players jumped off of them.
Definitely.
And
That's what it is.
And then
That's
you have
what
a
that is
new
representative of.
Yes, and there's a new popular elite team that probably does well into them with Nemesis Claw. And I think it's just like a perfect storm to like make their stats dump down a little bit. But I think they're pretty. I think they're very good still.
I think they're still very good as well.
A take on that is, and Shane, we experienced this together at Adepticon. Pyrotech is a counter to Felgor, and so is Gellerpox. And those two teams can stop the Felgor rush in a hurry.
Who's the bigger counter, Janis?
Oh, Gellerpox.
Yeah.
Gellerpox.
There's absolutely nothing you can do to Gellerpox with Felgor.
You know who?
Other than die.
You know who else counters? Who else Gellerpox is a great counter to? Veteran Guard. That's besides the point. But that's that's. Just,
I like that salute, dude.
You like this
that.
one?
I like that.
When I get down and I pray to the God. To the
It
God
was
Emperor.
it was this first. It was the double piece and then the Aquila. Which really got me.
Yeah, but Pathfinders is actually next. And I'll tell you guys where the median is here quite shortly. But Pathfinders is the next one up. We did see
Those guys.
Chris Baki just take. Fuck them in the face. We did see them just take off and win Dallas. I think a lot of good players have not played them in quite some time. And maybe we're going to see that change. I guess we'll have to see, especially with Felgor becoming a little less prevalent.
I said before LVO that people are sleeping on Pathfinders, that they are going to be a problem.
Absolutely. So the median of placing percentage, now taking a percent of a percent is never like the best of things, but the median percent is 20. And we see quite a few teams here at 20. So in my opinion, when looking at placing percentage, 20% or anywhere within a couple percentage points of 20 is probably like a team that is safe and probably shouldn't be touched. So in my opinion, Intercession, Void Dancers, Vet Guard, Kasserkin, Nemesis Claw currently all have a perfect placement rating, and in my opinion are probably in a really good competitive area. Now, does that mean that they're good for casual and all that kind of stuff? I don't know. This is a little bit more competitive focused, right? But those teams all seem really, really decent. You kind of go up to the Felgor area and you still are within 2 percentage points. You drop down, Phobos is right there. Hand of the Archon's right there. It's interesting how high Hand of the Archon's win rate was, and then you just said that they fall apart at high tables, right, Shane? And look at this. They only have a 16% placement rating. So your thumb is right on the pulse, my guy. Yeah, it's right up there. But then
it's almost like he's won a bunch of tournaments lately or something like that.
It's almost like he's really good at the game. And then you see...
I didn't know better. I'd say you probably won a couple tournaments lately. If I didn't know better.
And then we see like teams with Gellerpox, Hunterclade, Commandos, Wormblade, Hierotek, and Mandrakes all 10 to 25 percentage points above the norm, which is almost double to over double. Those teams competitively are still probably a problem. And then you have like Strikeforce Justian with a 0% win rate. This is the second Dataslate in a row that they have had 0 placings since December 14th. It's pretty good. Pretty high, you know? But we're going to move on to the next slide. That means that there is another question. Can anyone take the lead away from young Shane here?
Yeah, watch this.
Nobody can take the lead from me right now. They can only tie me for the lead, actually.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to score double.
You're going to score double?
2 point.
That's fair.
I'm calling my shot.
So what is the average point score difference between the lowest scoring team and the highest? So this is taking all teams and averaging the scores.
My method all throughout school, C, less than 1 point.
Less than 1 point. Okay.
C.
The average point score between the lowest and the highest.
Wait, I didn't even read the question. C's got to be wrong. I'm still going C.
Average between the lowest and the high. I'm going to say B.
B, between 1 and 2 points.
I'm going to say A.
And Janis is going to say A. Cool. So somebody did get the question right. There is only, 4 answers there. It would be Janis between 2 and 3 points.
Yeah. Ooh.
So we come here, and this is the average points per game per faction. Again, we see Gellerpox in the lead, mainly doing to possibly two really good players maining them at the moment. We have Mandrakes second, which last weekend they were at 20 points per game on average. So I'm glad to see them drop. They didn't do great last weekend, apparently.
Well, they had a rough time in Dallas, from what I saw.
Sorry, it was 20 points per win. They dropped to 19.18. So they dropped a full point per win on average. I apologize. But Wormblade is third, jumping up 1 meta point. And then we have Void Dancers still up there, still scoring really well, even though they're not being taken a lot. That could be because they're not being taken a lot. Who knows? But then we have Breachers and Janis. They have a 40% win rate. They're the only team that is under the 45% win rate in the top 15. So they're scoring a lot of points. That just means that they're probably they can't stop other teams from scoring.
They just can't seal the deal.
Yeah.
Super weird.
Mm-hmm. They jumped up 10 points, but again, they only have 83 games played, which means that we don't have a lot of data, and this data might be skewed because maybe those wins are, because that's one thing I noticed as Vetguard. When I won, I would win between 20 and 24 points. I think Breachers have the same way of winning. If they're going to win, they're going to win really, really hard. Right. So that could be the case as well. But Phobos is next up with 47% win rate, but 16.45. They also win up by 3. Looks like I missed a green arrow. Good me. Go on me. Kasserkin and Hand of the Archon also jump up there, and then Felgor fall quite hard. So
because they're bad.
Yeah, and Chaos Cultists, as we can see, with a 52% win rate, are averaging 14.58. They dropped 28 points there. Wow. It's probably because no one's playing them.
Can I just say, I think it's absolutely crazy that a team like Farstalkers that can max tac ops with their eyes closed is ranked 26th out of 30 on average points per game. Like that just speaks to how terrible they are at every
that's
other aspect of Kill Team.
that really speaks, like you said, speaks to their primary game being trash.
Mm-hmm. I think I spoke about this on the last Meta Watch. In my opinion, teams that can't score primaries are struggling to stay alive for a long time in the game. And I feel like we keep seeing Far Stalkers get damage buffs after damage buffs after damage buffs, and they're just like, hey, win harder. If you can win, just win harder. But that's not how you win the game. Especially when you have like Chaos Cultists and you have Felgor who just like, okay, kill me. Or Hyrotech, you can kill me. I'll just come back next turn. When they can score really well on secondaries. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. They do suck on primaries. That's the next slide if you guys couldn't guess.
I actually don't think they suck on primaries that much. It's that by turn 3, you have so few bodies left that you just can't score them anymore. Like, I think because they have everything you need in theory to be good at scoring primary. They have 12 bodies, they have 12 activations, 11 if you take the 2 warriors. But like, if you take the 2 warriors, they have GA2, which is great for scoring primary. They have tac ploys that let them score primaries better. They're fast. Like, I have just no idea what more you can give this team to make them better at the mission. And yet they just lose so hard that they can't score anymore. Like
4 defense dice.
Maybe that'll be it. Maybe then, yeah, Rogue will start to feel helpful.
Yeah, maybe bump it up to a triple retain if you're in cover, something balanced like that. That would be the solution I would pose: the triple defense retain.
Janis, how would you fix these guys? You got anything?
3-up invulns across the board.
That's what I like to see. That's what I like. So
you know what's buck wild to me is where your cursor is right now, Nemesis Claw.
Nemesis Claw.
This is buck wild to me. How poorly they are doing.
Yeah, 44% win rate. Not
My
great.
brothers in Claw need to rise up. This team is better than this.
I mean, Legionaries are on average scoring more points than them, but have a 4% worse win rate. I think. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask, what's the highest win rate for elites? Is it Phobos at 47?
It is for Phobos currently.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. It was last.
I think
it was last patch too. They just score. I think they score better than most other teams, and so I think that they're just doing better just innately. Nemesis, I don't know why they have a 44% win rate. So I have a couple theories. They have 180 games, so I think a lot of intercession players, legionary players, which are typically the highest games played, a bunch of them must have jumped off because Nemesis Claw in 5 weeks has 180 games. In 8 weeks, we can't even get Far Stalkers to 88 games, right? So Nemesis Claw with a 44% win rate and 180 games, I think that they're losing strictly because they have an influx of so many people learning them and playing
noobs.
Maybe noobs.
And I think people that just don't know how to really manage the team yet.
Yeah. I think that we're going to see, from what I'm seeing in the stats, Nemesis Claw may be the most popular faction going forward. Well, they are catching up super fast to all these other teams, and they weren't around the first 3 weeks of data collecting. So the first 3 weeks of tournaments, it's pretty insane.
My prediction is that these numbers for Nemesis Claw, other than like popularity, I don't think these numbers are going to get any better without changes.
Okay.
Because I think we have an epidemic in Kill Team of people don't know how to play elite teams.
It's straight up, yeah.
There is just nobody. I don't know.
You may be. Is it this way? You may be one of the best elite players here currently because you single-handedly made Legionaries get a nerf, like single-handedly.
It's just Shane's talent.
And they have a YouTube video about how to play elites, so maybe everyone should go watch how to play Legionaries and maybe take the same things to Nemesis Claw.
I think it's like, I don't know. It's obviously they're appealing to newer players, less like sweaty players because it's 6 Marines and it's cool, and that's always going to be the case. But like, I don't know. I think there's just too much it requires a certain amount of caginess early on that I think some people, a lot of the kinds of players that want to play the cool Marine guys do not have the capacity or patience maybe to play as passive as you need to play early game in order to like achieve results with these teams. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, you really got to be like, it is destruction via scalpel. Like you have to hit them in the right spots. You can't just stand up. Like Nemesis Claw is so good. Like this team is so incredibly good. They smash Phobos. They kick
They
their
smash
teeth out.
Felgor.
Like, I haven't played that matchup yet. I think maybe I want to say maybe Legionaries with all the lethal 5 could be. I don't know. I haven't played that matchup yet.
I think both Legionaries and Night Lords are both good teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Legionary.
I like them both.
Good. I'm on team Legionary are still very good, but Nemesis Claw, just as long as like this is gonna sound stupid because it applies to every team, but as long as you make the right decisions with Nemesis Claw, you are good. They're not as forgiving as Legionary, but when you make the right decisions, and combine that with like Vox Scream and your activation manipulation stuff and your very like targeted defense, like you can be incredibly tanky in the right ways if you stack it right. And like this team can feel very oppressive. Like Nemesis Claw is so good. These people need to get good, roll better, practice harder, stop shaming the claw.
Put your dice in a microwave. No, don't do that. So
yeah, this is what Dakotah said. Put your dice in a microwave and then come play at Dakotah's tournaments. That's what he is. That's what he said. I heard it. You heard it.
So we look at Pathfinders, right? A couple people are talking about Pathfinders in the Twitch chat. How no matter how bad they are, they'll always receive flame, and that is correct.
Nice.
We hate them. So Pathfinders are always a problem in Kill Team because of their play style. Their play style is much like Vetguard's play style. It is a very uninteractive game, which Vetguard are a little bit better in having more interactions because they can run into combat. They can do a few other things. But Pathfinders literally just want to stay back and kill you before the game even starts, right? So it's a very unfun game to play against them. Some people say also Felgor can also be that way as well. And it's generally true because when you kill them, they don't die. So, kind of feels bad. But they do
at least playing with Felgor against Felgor, you still have models on the table after turn 1.
That is true. Maybe not after turn 3, but yes. I mean, you at least got to play
turn
3
2
games.
and 3, but you get to play the first turn anyway.
It's true. Pathfinders have jumped up 4 placements, so they are at 17th now, which that means that they are being a little bit better. Before this past weekend, before Mike Cortez and Chris Bakke, who won Dallas, took them to first place and 5th place, they were actually at a 44% win rate. So between those 2 players and whatever else happened in the rest of the world, they brought them up 5 percentage points. So when we're looking at this data, we have to all remember that the data does shift a lot from week to week until we start seeing more numbers, right? So Pathfinders still have incredible room for growth, but they also have an incredible room to fall because they are an extremely hard team to play. And if you don't play them correctly, it's really difficult to win. And that's why you see them in the stats here with only 15.76 average points. You might think that these are actually close, right? We see this team has a 17.16. This one has I'm going to ignore Chaos Colts, a 14.82. You would say, oh, that's actually kind of close. Well, when you factor in that Gellerpox has had 155 games this patch, that's like on average over 300 more points this Dataslate scored by Gellerpox players than Strikeforce Justian in like all games played. It's a massive number. Over a single 4-round tournament, it's still 8 points on average. Like you're saying that a exaction squad guy coming down with playing this to this on average is scoring 8 less points in a tournament. That's crazy. It's a crazy statistical number when you can just lose a game by a single point. It's a lot. It's a lot. The average is actually, I think, at 16 points. 16.15 is the average points per game for a specific for any specific faction. But yeah, I think we're droning on this. We'll move on to the next question. So question 4, is everyone ready? What faction scores the least amount of primaries each game?
Oh man. Who wants to go first?
And this is not Chaos Colts, because Chaos Colts is at the bottom. I'm sorry. We're not including them because they have 18 games played.
I'm going to say B.
These are the bottom 6 teams, by the way.
I'm going to say B. Locked answer.
B, locked answer.
I'm going to go A. Just, again, feel it in my gut.
Feel it in your gut.
I haven't been wrong so far, so I'm just going to keep trusting my gut.
All right.
They haven't been wrong so far, but you have 0 points.
You know, straightness is never recognized in its day. So
That's true. That's true.
Oh man, I think Pathfinders should win too much in order to be the lowest tier.
They
I
are in the
also
bottom
think
6.
it's A.
You think it's A,
Yeah.
Shane? All right.
I think it's A as well.
Let's find the answer out. Shane does
Hey.
go. So now it's 1-1-2 with Shane in the lead. Farstalkers, unfortunately, do have the lowest primary score in the entire game by a lot.
oof.
And now I will say that TOs out there, please start including painting in every score that you do, because I can't divvy out primaries from adding in painted as well until every TO starts doing that. So these stats do include painted points from some tournaments and not. It equals out to be about the same, but this is not like the actual true number, right? It's a statistical anomaly. It is what it is. We have Farstalkers with the least, then Exaction, Starstriders, Intercession, Blades of Cain, and then we have Pathfinders. That's crazy. You think that Pathfinders can play primaries, one of the best, right? And then you have Inquisition. Inquisition dropped 13 places this data slate. That's crazy.
That's wild.
And same with Starstriders. Like what?
I have some thoughts about Pathfinders here.
Okay.
And I just talked to Chris Baki about this on something that is going to be coming out on Command Point soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually don't think that Pathfinders. I think it's a common misconception that Pathfinders are good at playing the primary, because you see 12 bodies and they're a shooty horde, and you think of other shooty hordes like Vetguard that are awesome at the primary.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Pathfinders hate stuff like loot and like they hate, I don't know, I don't think they play the primary particularly well, because their actions are so split between trying to kill things and marker lighting things so that they can kill other things better.
You could just go Kayun and just get free primary free action points. You could.
Yeah, but the thing is, usually if they're taking Kaoyan, it's on like Into the Dark, so they can open doors and then marker light easier.
I mean, they're real good on Into the Dark right now.
Yeah. So it's like, I guess I thought about this recently because in the CPTS quarterfinals, I had to play against Pathfinders with higher attack, and the format, we would roll off, and the winner of that roll off, I think, would decide open or Into the Dark, and then the loser of that would choose. They would I can't remember exactly how it works. Basically, the way it worked is one person would pick the board, whether it's open or Into the Dark, and then the other person would narrow down which mission you were playing, whether it's loot, secure, capture. And I know on that match, I ended up on open board, and I intentionally took loot instead of capture against Pathfinders, because I think Pathfinders are amazing on capture, because they can do all the things they want to do without having to use action points.
That's fair.
Whereas if they're looting, they're not marker lighting you. They aren't they aren't shooting you, and they don't have like great GA2. They have GA2 technically, but they usually use their GA2 to like set up kills, like with the drone controller. It's not like traditional like guardsman GA2 where you're just throwing two useless guys and looting points, or same thing with Wormblade. So I think that it makes sense to me. I'm actually not super shocked by this.
Okay. All right.
Having dabbled with Tau, unfortunately, I've noticed that too with loot. You want to be spending those action points on doing your marker light actions and things like that. And with the team, you don't have a set of models that you can consider really disposable. Everybody has a role to play on the team, and if you start losing models, you just end up in quicksand and start just with the attrition. You just can't do all your stupid Tau tricks.
That's true. I want to respond to 2 comments on our Twitch so far. Somebody said Exaction just above them. I mean, Exaction just suck right now, and they've dropped 11 points. They really suck. I agree. They are S tier. They always have been ever since Kellen has declared them to be S tier. They've been S tier. And then we have somebody else who says painting, scoring for painting is cringe. What do you guys think about scoring for painting? As you know, it's near and close to my heart. It is 50% of the game. You can't really show up to a tournament if your models aren't painted.
Now, my opinion is now that ITC has and Best Coast Pairings has the hobby track as its own thing, I think the painting score 2 points isn't as critical as it was in the past.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel it's kind of the insta points you get on your SATs for putting your name on the test.
I mean, you look at 40K, and forever 40K has had 100-point scoring limit. 10% of that scoring limit is painting. It's always been a part of the hobby. It's the reason why Games Workshop wants you to go out and buy their paints. It's the reason why you want to go out and do these things. You want your models to look pretty. You want your models to look good. And some people just want to put 3 colors on. And guess what? That's fine, right? That's fine to just show up with 3. That's cool.
I think showing up with 3 is fine. I don't think scoring for painting is cringe, but I do think showing up with gray plastic to a GT is kind of cringe.
I would agree.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah. As long as
I like it just because it denies that from happening.
Or 3D printed models that are unpainted. That was one of the big things is that we were seeing in 40K 3D print people with FDM 3D print tanks, bring them to a tournament, not have them painted whatsoever, and then just win the tournament with that. And do you know how many feels bad that had? This guy didn't even have the models. He didn't even paint the team. He just showed up because they were good and then won.
Didn't even respect
still showing on them.
Yeah.
They didn't even respect your opponent enough to paint your team. It's like you wouldn't show up to the table without your pants on.
Yeah.
Like show up to the table with your team painted. Like be an adult.
Yeah.
My thought on the painting though is I've played in plenty of tournaments where if you don't have painted models, you don't get to play. So that's kind of my vibe on that. Is that should just be a rule on the table, and just get rid of the 2 points. Is you don't have painted models, you don't get to play.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I would be okay with that, but there would be some people that would not be. But we'll move back to the stats.
Wah.
So we have Wormblade at the top of the game currently. Now, Veteran Guard used to be up there pretty well, I believe, as well. And then look where Vet Guard has fallen. 13 placings.
Good and balanced and fair and just.
I mean, it does suck, though, when this team also is one of the worst secondary scorers. It is what it is. I mean, hey, here's the thing. It's okay for you to hate. It's okay for you to hate Vet Guard. I think it's fine.
Don't Vet Guard get to score secondary points by just dying?
Yeah. Thank you for your permission, Dakotah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes and no. You still have to score more victory points than them to score that
Okay.
point. So, it's a win harder tactic, which is awful.
And also, I think somebody pointed out once that like if you're scoring that, you're probably just scoring stand fast anyway. That doesn't require you to die.
100%. Hunter
Yeah.
Claytus popped up. We have Kasserkin moving up the board a lot at 12.
So strange.
At plus 12.
Yeah, why? How is Kasserkin scoring
strange.
primary? That makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know either.
I have no explanation. for
Wormblade
that.
being top doesn't surprise me at all.
Wormblade is
Oh,
one
they're
of
great.
the
sweet.
best.
Yeah,
And then
having mained them for quite a while.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go over? Sorry, go ahead, Janis.
No, just saying that having played them for quite a while as my main team, and as well, Shane, that they're like top. They are the top tier for scoring primaries, especially
100%. And I would imagine that like that's one team where I think if they just had like one really good faction tech up, they would be like crazy. Like
yeah, just too bad all their faction tech ups are garbage.
I actually do, I don't know. Back when it's been a million years since I played Wormblade, but I actually used to take their faction tech ups.
Oh, I did too.
I don't know if that was because I was bad, maybe. But they never felt that bad to me. But they definitely don't have like a really good one.
we've all been bad in the past.
No, I'm comparing to what's come out for most other teams. There's always yes, you take this faction tack up,
Yeah,
regardless, because it's the 2 free points. Wormblade don't have that.
no, you're right.
We looking at the top of the list, we have Breachers up here scoring a ton of primary points as well, which makes sense, right? But why do they have such a low win rate? I don't understand. We have Phobos up here with scoring primary points really well as well, like really, really well. But it doesn't look like they stop their enemies from scoring primary points really well because they have a 47% win rate. We have Blooded, Mandrakes, Novitiates, Hunter Clade, Hand of the Archon, all in the top upper echelons,
15. My God. Hand of the Archon's blowing my mind.
I have a comment on some of these.
Mm-hmm.
Wormblade, Gellerpox, Breachers all have GA2. Phobos has free mission actions. Void Dancer has like no players. I'm not even going to talk about that. Blooded, GA2. Mandrakes can teleport across the board onto objectives and score primary.
Novitiates can't be shot.
Yeah, like all the teams at the very top either have like GA2 or like free mission actions, aplenty, or like in the case of Mandrakes, they have some stupid way to get primary very, very effortlessly.
You also
Stormblade for one full turn, all their models can do a mission action for free as well.
You look at a lot of these teams and they usually really crush one type really well. So you have Gellerpox who crush what's it called? Capture, right? You have Wormblade who crushes loot, Breachers who crush loot. Not really sure what Phobos does. They probably do secure and pretty much everything else in the game well. You have Void Dancers who's good at everything. Blooded's really good at loot. And so you have Mandrakes probably good at most things as well. You have these teams who just are like really, really good. Like Gellerpox and Colts are probably the best teams at capture. So it makes sense that 1/3 of games at tournaments being that they're probably going to max, right? So outside of Scout Squad, who isn't good at any of them, and then they're sitting here at 20, right? 20th out of 30 placings, so it's interesting. It's interesting. So we're going to move on to the next slide, which will be average secondaries, which might interest you guys as well. So we have question number 5. See if Shane can run away with this or if Ben and Janis can catch up. So what is the closest number to the average amount of secondaries scored in each game? It's actually really close to a whole number. I think it's like 0.05 next to it.
D.
You said C?
D as in dog.
D as in dog. Okay.
Oh, this is really hard. I need a second. Sorry.
You're
Hold on, I'm
fine.
thinking.
You're fine. You're fine. Shane wants that chokehold around the Kill
I
Team
do.
meta watch.
I really do.
Let's see here. What is chat saying? Anything?
Gosh, man, this one is tough.
Okay, we got one person. We got a couple. We got a couple people answering. Anyone else have any thoughts in here?
I'm gonna say C. I'm gonna go right in the middle.
C. Okay. How about you,
Oof.
Ben?
I'm thinking C. It's either C or D for me. Is what I'm leaning. I'm gonna lean on average. I'm gonna lean on the noobs, and I'm gonna go C.
All right. So the answer for everyone is D. Good job, Janis.
Oh!
Damn it.
Janis is tied. All
I'm
right.
ashamed.
So as we can see, the average is 3.95. And currently, at least for this data slate, we have Mandrakes in the lead, which makes sense. On Into the Dark, they have something that they just like auto score, right? You can be next to any pillar and you can max it for 2 turns. I think it's ridiculous. Needs to be banned. We have Gellerpox coming up next, then Hearthkin, which is surprising. Hearthkin in third, jumping up 3
Love
points for
to see it.
secondaries. Wow. That's impressive. Very impressive. Then we have Felgor at fourth, which makes sense. They've always been pretty good. They only dropped 1 percentage point.
What?
We have Hand of the Archon jumping up 3 points. Kasserkin jumping up 6. And Hunter Clade coming in strong with fucking 20. The biggest number so far. That's insane. From 27th to 20th. That's crazy. Crazy.
How are these Kinband players not not
you beat
doing
me to it. What
Ow.
in the world? You
Ow.
could just show
So
up
here-
and fall asleep and score 6 with Farstalker. What the
Exactly.
fuck are they doing?
My youngest son can do that, and he's never played a game of Warhammer in his life.
Yeah, they dropped 15 percentage points from 7th down to 22nd.
Mamma mia.
Now,
I know-
they only have 88 games, right? So perhaps when they're losing really bad. Maybe there's something out there that's eating them alive in the meta. I'm not sure.
I don't know how you stop them from scoring 6 tac ops if the like I don't know. So earlier with the elites having bad win rates, I can like come up with an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
I have no explanation for why Farstalker players are not scoring tac ops. It's the only thing the team does. They don't do one other thing.
I mean, somebody could say that they kill. Okay, they have dogs.
I would not be one of those
Who
people.
is
that
saying
would say
that?
that.
Dakotah,
Nobody
who is
should
saying
say
that?
I think it was just me just now saying that. Pretty sure.
Okay. Well, Hearthkin have great faction tac. Well, they have a great faction tac op, and Seize Ground is like borderline free for them because they can make a barricade like 3.1 inches from their drop zone heavy and then sit on that for Seize Ground. Mandrakes, having played like around 20 games with Mandrakes now, they score tac ops like so well. I actually think that they are probably the best, other than Kroot. I think they're the best tac ops scoring team.
And these are a bunch of new players, and they're coming out here with like 150 games, just crushing kids. Mandrakes are insane right now.
They do recover item, not the best of any team, but up there. They do courier better than any other team. And then they have a faction tac op that just says charge somebody and kill them, basically, which I can't actually think of anything easier than that.
Yeah, and we have there's a couple surprises in here, and then a couple surprises there at the bottom. Well, actually, Commandos dropping so far down from. I mean, I guess it wasn't terribly far, but they did drop from 20th to 27th, which is
Not low enough.
Yeah, not enough. I mean, you're going to see how strong Commandos are later. I think the last meta watch that we had, I had the title saying, "Are Commandos bad now?" And the answer it looks like is kind of yes, but really no. So we'll get to that on the next slide. And we only have 2 slides after this left, everyone, so bear with us. Pathfinders, Blades of Cain are doing well on secondaries. We have Inquisition doing well on secondaries. I think anything of 4 points and above, anything that's averaging 4, because the average is 4 currently, and above that is really, really well. And we have to remember also that Mandrakes scoring almost 5 on average per game is just like absolutely insane. Then you have teams like Justian, who's averaging just 3.1. I mean, they've been in dead last almost every slide. So I think Chaos Cult's beating them a couple times, but you know.
That's hilarious. Chaos Cultist with 18 games is beating them. That's hilarious.
You're not wrong. So yeah, we have Breachers struggling, Vet Guard struggling, but they've been struggling since last patch too. They're about staying the same. Both the brand new teams introduced to the game are better than them, so they stayed pretty much in the exact same place. We have
both of Breachers and Vet Guard can only take security, correct?
Correct. They can only take security, and I think security is one of the weaker things currently. But I mean, heaven forbid Vet Guard get anything else. You're going to see their points skyrocket. Like if they could take recon, they could take it. Doesn't matter. They have so many bodies. They're probably safe where they are. We see Exaction Squad only going up 1, and same with Legionary, which means they stay in the exact same place from last one because Nemesis Claw came in right underneath them. We don't see it looks like most of the factions outside of just a couple have pretty much stayed the exact same on secondaries. It doesn't look like any of the nerfs Games Workshop did in this past data slate really affected any team outside of maybe Hunterclade by nerf. Maybe some nerfs must have made their games better. Like, I don't know. Everything else seems about even because nothing else has really been touched that we really see anything crazy. But
I think it's funny how Farstalkers, nothing changed and they just got so much worse.
Well, that's the problem. They got a couple buffs. They got a couple damage buffs, but that's it. You know?
Yeah, that's true. They actually got buffed, and yet they're dropping like 10 to 15 in each one of these.
Yeah.
I actually forgot their buffs.
They're not very good, Shane. I feel sorry that you're maining them currently.
I'm just still in disbelief that they're scoring that few secondary points.
Yeah.
It's bewildering. It really.
Yeah. Warp Coven are also struggling. That's interesting. They got huge buffs and they've stayed the same.
I think that's what holds Warp Coven back as a faction is their tech ops.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are really, really like if they just had one good faction tech op, that would help them so much.
I could see that.
Which trees do they have access to for secondaries?
A lot.
Recon and
security and recon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't even get seek and destroy.
But they don't have a good faction tech op.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both security and recon are both trees that are great if you have one good faction, just one good faction tech op, and you can, because if you have to take 3 recon tech ops, that's rough. If you'll need to take 2, it feels like the best tree. That's why everybody says recon's the best, is because they have 2, they always have 2 good ones for you, presumably. But if you have to take 3 recon tech ops, nobody does that. Nobody does that with any team pretty much. And I think similar for security.
People are saying, Ben, why are you missing Hobby Hangout?
Oh, what up, BBT Hobby Hangouts? 'Cause I'm over here.
That's
why.
He'll be over here.
Because you're watching this screen. Because I'm on this screen and not on the other screen. That's why, actually.
2 other interesting ones. We had Void Dancers. Their nerfs hit them really, really hard for secondaries, which is interesting. And Novitiates, nothing happened to them. And they also dropped 10. Kind of interesting. Don't know what happened with them. Perhaps some people that were playing them jumped off. I don't know if people in Canada, I haven't seen Kellen come to much tournaments recently playing Novitiates. Maybe they're losing flavor of the month again, you know? So I don't know. We'll have to see.
How is it possible that Kasserkin aren't they? They're top 10, I think, in both secondaries and primaries, if I'm remembering correctly.
That's buck wild to me.
We can check. Kasserkin on 10th, primaries are 10th. Yep. And then we move to secondaries. They are 6th, and they have a 45% win rate. Maybe someone's tanking their stats somewhere. I have no idea. Maybe there's like one dude who just comes and scores all their points and just gives away the win. No idea. That seems a little bewildering that they're so good at actually scoring points, and yet they're not placing very well. So moving on to our final, our second, almost final slide. We have 2 slides left. We have major statistics left, and then we have our squad games rankings, and I want to see if you guys agree with them. And it's pretty much what the stats say, right? That's squad games rankings. We take the first place from each of them, we grade everyone, and then we put them all into something, and that's what their stat is. So the last question for the night, this is the last time that Shane can take it, Janis can take it, or Ben can tie it up.
Can tie with someone.
Yeah, tie with somebody. Which faction has the most top placings, and which faction has the second most?
Ooh.
So this is a two-parter. This is worth 2 points. So Ben, you could win the whole thing.
Okay.
Actually, there we go. Let's make it interesting.
How far back does this go again?
This goes back to 322.
So right after Adepticon.
Correct. Right? I have this.
Okay.
I have the stats for both data slates combined, but that's not this. That's just from 322 to 522, or 320 to 522. This most recent data slate.
Oh. And are these the top 6 for top
These
placings?
are the top 6.
I'm shooting from the hip here. Pow pow. I'm gonna Uzi this bad boy.
Okay.
E and D.
E and D. All right. Hyrotech and Blooded.
I'm gonna go E and B.
E
Hyrotech and Mandrakes.
and B. Okay.
Go E and A.
E and A. All right. Is everyone ready? Because I believe we do have a winner. Somebody did guess them both correct.
Oh, Janis.
Hey,
Janis has the
man.
Killl Team by the throat. She knows things, everyone. So Janis is going to win Meta Watch this time with 4 points. Shane's coming in second with 3 points. And Ben, you got 2 points, brother. Let's go. Congratulations, Janis.
Thank you. Thank you.
Meta Maxin over here.
the Meta Queen. So our major statistics, we go through a lot of there's a lot of numbers here on screen, everyone. So just bear with us. We have our win percentage or placings, our total tournament showings, total games, average scores, primary, secondaries. But here's the new stuff, right? We have total tournament wins, undefeated showings, and top placings. So Hyrotech, I think we've gone over some of the top placings, but Hyrotech has 13. Commandos has 10. Commandos got all those nerfs, everyone, and they still have 10 placings. That's crazy. There's quite a few teams who have 3 tournament wins. We have Mandrakes, Gellerpox, Void Dancer Troop, so on and so forth. Then we have our second ones, which is Hand of the Archon, Warp Coven, Inquisitorial Agents. And then we have another column for undefeated. So if you guys want to, when this releases on YouTube, feel free to pause here. If you want to, look at it, you can join the Squad Games Discord, which I will put all of these up, and also post these on Reddit and a link to the video. But undefeated showings is actually pretty telling as well. Commandos coming out with the most undefeated showings out of all factions. That doesn't include ties. Ties doesn't mean that they lost. So, and then you have Hyrotech, you have Gellerpox with the next one. And I think the Gellerpox is strictly because of Orion and because of John Reese. I think Orion has 3 of these are him. So what can you do? Intercession this time coming up with 4 undefeated showings as well, but no tournament wins. Look at that. It's almost like they can't score points. And then we also see the same,
like they stink.
almost the same thing with Warp Coven, right? 1 undefeated showing, 1 win, 1 top placing. They're also struggling quite a lot. So the meta shift is the same as our first slide. So this is a more of our competitive slide, which is some fun stuff. Anything interesting you guys see here before we move on to the squad games rankings?
I just want to talk. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry, you go first, Ben.
Oh, I just want to talk directly again. My main point this whole show. I just want to talk to the Nemesis Claw players. Do better. Be better. Your team is better than you are. Step up. That's all I have to say.
In a similar note, I just want to say one final thing to the Farstalker Kinban players. The team is not better. I'm sorry, guys.
Stop.
It is hilarious though to look at the bottom and all these other teams that like dropped like a million spots to get to where Farstalkers already
They're
are.
at 0.
They haven't moved. They live down there.
They were born in it.
Yeah, they eat
But at
meat.
least you can comms buff within 6 inches of an enemy afterwards. Thank God.
16% or 16 points.
Which
Or
one?
16 places.
Yeah,
Elgor?
from first place to 17th. Yeah, they fell quite a far distance. Janis, you have to go to more tournaments. You must win
Elgor.
for the goats. Commando's dropping 12, pretty big, and then we see Blades of Cain also dropping 13. So, it looks like a couple really good players stopped playing them to play Pathfinders. I don't know, shit.
Checks out.
Somebody keeps saying, spamming chat now, that somebody wished that that you notified them that you were going to miss Hobby Hangout, Ben. I'm sorry. They're very upset.
Who is it? Who's shouting it out?
John Law.
So many people.
John Law. Oh, what's that? That's a Florida local. I never show up to the Hobby Hang anyways. So this is nothing new. I'm normally putting my kids to bed.
That's fair. So we're going to go on to the squad games rankings. Now, this is a very important slide to us. It's the whole reason why we do it. This is kind of statistically ranking. We take each individual team and we rank them 1 through 30, right? And then we take those numbers and we add them all together. The team with the lowest score is at the top of the rankings. And last time we got really surprised with Phobos being like 5th or 6th or something like that. Even though they looked like they sucked everywhere, but actually they didn't suck everywhere. And now they're one of the most popular teams. I think they're the 3rd most played team right now, or 2nd most played team, which is interesting. But I want to see what you guys think and if you agree with the stats. So we all think like, who do we think is the best team right now? What do we think this? What do we think that? But then the stats come out and the stats say, hey, this is what the stats are saying. So before we jump in, the last question, no points for this. What do you guys think are like the best teams currently in the meta? I think it's pretty clear on a couple.
Ben, you go first.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's like, I think we all sort of know. You got like Hyrtex doing real well, Mandrakes, who else? Like Wormblade's crushing it. I love to see Wormblade doing pretty good. I mean, we've seen an uptick locally as well in Florida with Wormblade. But like, and the thing about like Pathfinders have always been good. You know what I mean? Like they've never not been good, and so they have just ebbed and flowed. So like nothing. Like the top teams are still the top teams. You know what I mean? Like Felgor are still awesome. They may not be doing so hot, but as soon as the team gets touched, people just move. Just like Commandos. Commandos will still rock your face off, but just people have moved to other things.
Wow, Ben, did you see my slide before I showed it? It's like you called out a bunch of top teams. Looks like
it's almost like hold on here. It's almost like I've been looking at stats for the past hour.
You might be right. You might be right. You might be right.
Like I've been looking at these numbers laid out in a really easy format for me to learn. Yeah.
How about you, Janis? What do you think? What do you think are like the top teams currently?
Top teams currently, probably, Hyrtech, of course. I'm thinking of, again, Wormblade, because we've been looking at stats. Next, I'm probably going to say Gellerpox.
Okay.
Would be my top 3.
All right. How about
probably close 4th would be for the upcoming would be Pathfinders.
Okay.
People getting back on that train. Yeah, I think people are going to start jumping back on the Pathfinder train.
Sure. How about you, Shane?
So this is what I think the best teams are, not what I think the next slide is going to say.
Fair.
Right?
That's fair.
Okay. I think Pathfinders are the best team, followed by Mandrakes and Gellerpox, if I had to pick 3. Beyond that, then I'd say Higher Tech, and then maybe something like Blooded or
I think I'm going
maybe Inquisition.
That's fair. That's fair. What we said at the end of the last Meta Watch, if you guys want to watch that one, it's old stats now, but hey, if you found this one entertaining, Chris Baki and Kellen are also very entertaining as well. Notice how these are all East Coasters and last time was all West Coasters. Who knows? I think we said Gellerpox and we said Wormblade. We were expecting, or at least me, I was expecting to be at the top of the list. Of course, I don't remember my third, but I could just be doctoring it. Who knows? Go watch it, find out. Tell me if I'm a liar or not. So we're going to move to stats here. So there's a lot of numbers on this screen too. But you can see the overall rankings, and then we can see the Meta Watch of where the Squad Games rankings really have put the teams. We have a couple different categories. We have our Meta Watch list. We have our major statistics. So these are the things that we value really, really a lot here at Squad Games. Our performance area, our competitive area, popularity, and then these are our over-representation ratio, meaning that a team that's closer to 1, it's really complicated, but a team that's closer to 1 is more balanced, and a team drastically below that is not balanced, and a team drastically above that is also not balanced, so it needs to be looked at, right? As you can see, Wormblade has a 2.04 on it. So, I mean, there's a few different things over here that is interesting. But back to this. We have Gellerpox and Mandrakes tied in first place. In fact, Gellerpox jumped up 6 places. We have Hyrotech in 3rd, jumping up 3, and then Blooded in 4th, jumping up 10 spots. Wormblade dropping 1 to 5th place. Felgor still up there, dropping from 5 places from 1st place down to 6th, but they're still obviously a very strong team. Phobos dropping 2 points. Commandos also very strong. Pathfinders statistically very, very strong. Hunter Clade jumping up 15 full points. And those are the top 10 teams currently in the meta. Our bottom teams are Strike Force Justian, last place last time, last place now. They have a 0.0 over. They literally haven't shown up in any tournament. they fucking suck. They suck so fucking bad. It's awful. And then we have Farstalker Kinban coming in 2nd to last, dropping 5 places.
Only because Justian didn't show up.
That's true.
That's the. Yeah, that's a participation award for 29th place there.
Then we have Exaction Squad pretty much staying dead bottom. Cultists, again, we kind of have to ignore them. Scouts jumping up 1 because Cultists took their spot, which again, we're ignoring them. So Scouts still suck. Hearthkin dropping 6 because I'm sorry, I'm still in the book. They also suck. And then we have Blades of Cain and in Breachers, even though Breachers score a lot of points, they can't do anything else right, apparently. So again, our major statistics, I think is apparent. Win percentage is very important. Placings are very important to us because of how they're doing competitively. Their performance is very important to see how good a team is actually doing throughout the meta. Competitive is tournament wins and placings. Popularity to me specifically is really important. Again, earlier, I don't know if everyone caught this, but a team that's more popular, that's doing a lot in the meta is going to be more of a problem than a team that's broken, but no one's bringing them. Look at Colts. We all think Colts are actually pretty good, but no one's playing them. So are they a problem? Absolutely not. No one's playing them. So who cares, right? Then we have unique players. And look, this is the first time we get a look at this. Gellerpox only have 15 unique players. So, that's kind of impressive, to see these 15 players really raising the stats. I think I think this just swapped. There we go. What do you guys think about this?
I think
Well-
Phobos are way up there, man.
They
That is
still
high
are.
for Phobos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to focus on things other than Kroot. I'm sorry, guys.
Like Pathfinders at 9. Like, come on now.
I mean, they did jump up 4 placings statistically. Even if some people are still playing them poorly, they're still playing better than they did last edition.
Next meta watch, I think that's going to be much higher.
I would agree. I mean,
with them winning Dallas, I think you're going to see a bunch of bandwagoners jump on.
Yeah, well,
Totally.
that could tank them. I don't know. We'll have to see.
It could also, but I think you're going to see a lot of people either returning to them or jumping on them.
Yeah. Our next Meta Watch episode is going to be after the data slate. We're going to try to get it out there within a couple of days of the data slate, the new data slate, whenever that drops. So, they usually wait about 3 months. So we should be 4 to 6 weeks away, I'm assuming. We'll have to see. And it's going to be interesting to see where things stack up. The meta shift is going to stay from last data slate to this data slate. So we're still going to see an overall where they shifted from one to then, not from this episode to whenever. So we'll see what actually happens once we get more data as well. But yeah, I mean, if we look, yeah, go for it.
Looking at, so the popularity, the unique players, I think you might have read wrong, because I think that unique players is just another ranking, because there's definitely more than one higher tech player playing.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah. I definitely did read it wrong. They're 15th. Gellerpox is 15th, but I do believe their Gellerpox's actual player ranking is 15. Like how many players have uniquely played the team is actually also 15. That's probably why I read it wrong. Yeah. But Higher Tech obviously has 290 games, and they have the most amount of players. I think they're like in the 50s or 60s for how many people are actually playing the team. I think it's like 54. So
it would have been cool if there was one Higher Tech player with 290 games, though. That would have been,
that guy would be just a machine.
Yeah,
literally.
Do you think Alex Squires would ever like trade in the Emperor's like metallic badge for like the Necron's true metal? Okay, that's right.
You know what I think? The new
he's a
30K,
he's a cog boy through and through.
The new 30K Eptis Mechanicus models, I think, is a great Higher Tech proxy. The new Tech Priest as your Crypt Tech, and then a bunch of little shambling Tech Thralls as your Immortals. I think that'd be a sweet conversion.
That's true.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yes. So I will start to round out the episode here, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Hopefully you all had fun. Is there anything else that you guys want to shout out?
My channel.
Command Point. Hell yeah.
Command Point.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest Killl Team Discord on planet Earth as well. So pretty fucking cool. Ben, you got anything for us?
Yeah, man. KTC, Killl Team Casuals podcast. It's getting less and less casual. We're sort of regretting that title at this point, but less and less casual. But Reese keeps us. He's the anchor that keeps us casual. So thankful for him. Shout out to you, Reese. And then Battle Brothers Tabletop YouTube channel. No videos in the past 12 months, but a video will be dropping this week. So that's pretty fun.
Hell yeah. Let's go. Is it what we talked about before?
It's Nemesis Claw. But apparently, I'm totally wrong, because Nemesis Claw evidently is a bad team. Looks to me like Vox Scream should be, one less CP every time you use it. So I think when you Vox Scream, you should actually gain CP. If that's what this stat show has taught me.
I think that you're right. I think they need a buff.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Janis?
I have nothing to shout out other than fuck the towel.
Hell yeah. For anyone else, check out Hobby Highlander. That's mine and Giacomo's hobby show where we blindly test different paints to see which is the best so that you don't have to. We have 2 episodes out.
Apple barrel for life.
Yeah. we have 2 episodes out so far. We filmed 6, and at the beginning of June, we are filming 3 more. We find it extremely fun to do, same with this Killl Team stuff. So thank you for everyone. And then also come to the All Valley Team Tournament, please. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to have a lot of fun too. So until next time, everyone, thank you all again for coming on, and the Emperor protects.
Thanks for having us, man.